Hi, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Chatter About the Chatter, the podcast from Monkey Mind Relaxation. As always, you know me by now. My name is Cuddy, the host of these fabulous podcasts, as we try to give you as much information as possible to get you on that journey of change, starting to understand our beliefs. That internal chatter, that monkey mind is an absolute arse if you don't understand how to reframe and change our thought patterns. And that's what Monkey Mind Relaxation is all about. And these podcasts getting people out of depression, moving past anxiety, getting them back on their feet and the journey that they want to live with happiness and empowerment in their life. That is what it's all about. And I am so excited about today's guest. We have been friends. He is a local lad. Wherever you're listening in the world, local would be in Five Shire to me. Now, if you're listening from America, that's not local to you in any way whatsoever. So I'm going to introduce our next guest. It's Michael Bowers, PT and mindset coach. Mr. Bowers, how are you, sir?
All right, Cuddy. I'm good, thanks. How's yourself? How you doing?
I love the Scottish and the tone. Don't ever lose that. I love that. That's absolutely fantastic. So,
It's
Bowers,
ingrained into me. It's like an accent I'll never lose.
And it's a beautiful accent as well. But Bowers, as I always call you Bowers, but I know everyone calls it. What does most people call you, Bowers?
It's a good question. Like, see, when I was at school, most people call me Bowers. Then, even like my local friends that call me Bowers as well. But I've got other friends that call me Michael, Mikey. And to be fair, it doesn't really bother me. Like, they call me. And for some reason, see, when I worked on cruise ships, like, I caught on. Like, people start calling me Bowers. I would never introduce myself as Bowers. I'd always like introduce myself to everybody as Michael. For some reason, I don't know how it got on, but everybody started calling me Bowers on cruise ships, and that's what he stuck with. The same how back home as well.
Bowers. I've always called you Bowers ever since I met you and stuff like that. Now, I know we used to walk up the Munros and I know we used to go out walking and things like that. But I was always fascinated about, because I always felt like we connected over NLP and our love for NLP, how it's helped. I know NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, has helped me in my life. It helps me when I'm working with my clients, making those massive changes in people's beliefs, their mindset. But you are a PT and mindset coach, and I watched you train, and you do CrossFit, right?
Yep.
And you are a proper little pocket rocket. Your fitness is right up there. I do strongman training, and trust me, I'm lucky if I can walk to the end of the street without a sweat, but I can lift heavy weights. But it's a completely different kind of training. But you are a little pocket rocket when it comes to the training. I know that. And we're going to talk about your training today. We're going to talk about your faith. I think it's a fascinating concept. We're talking about NLP, and we're going to talk about mindset. It's a huge part that people can really underestimate in their life. But I want to know how that plays in your life. So tell me a little bit about what you do when it comes to the PT and mindset coach.
So basically with the PT, I do a lot of one-to-one training with people in gyms, in their homes, could be outside as well. It's all tailored to what their goals are. So if someone comes to me, look, Michael, I just want to get fit. I want to build up my fitness. Great, find out what they can do, what they can't. But everything's tailored to what they can do. Like, everything's adaptable as well. For some people, I could have doing like body weight squats. Other people might have to make it a little bit easier by using like a bench to make sure their form's good when they're doing the squats. Or other people who are more fit and advanced, it's like, okay, we could do goblet squats, front squats, jump squats. And it's all tailored, and most of the exercises you can do even in a park somewhere. And it's like just nailing like the basics. Like, as you'll know, like squatting, it's a functional movement, which if you know how to do squats properly when you're young, you look after your legs when you're young, then it's going to help you when you're older as well. Like, I think there's like studies being done where like the main reason why people end up in like a care home when they're older is because they never looked after their leg strength when they're younger, or like their mobility. And so I try to educate people in terms of why it's important to look after, say, certain muscle groups, and look after your fitness in terms of like longevity in life. In terms of the mindset, I basically, when I did my NLP course, did my practitioner back in 2016, then master practitioner in 2018. And for that, I just gave them the tools and the skills to help people with certain limiting beliefs, any issues that are like holding them back, if they're say they're scared to get their comfort zone, and it's like just giving that a little bit of encouragement and knowing that on the other side of getting out of that comfort zone, like you're going to reap the rewards. You know, it's like I was telling you earlier, like coming on this podcast today, I was like, oh man, like it's scary. It's like, no, I have to do this. In terms of me getting out of my comfort zone, do it. You know, as you say, like the opportunities, the growth that you get from getting out your comfort zone, it's like you keep improving, you keep growing up, and your confidence level will just keep increasing as well by taking your little steps.
It is about baby steps for anyone moving on those journeys. And I know we're filming it's coming up close to February and with the dates and stuff like that. But I know that a lot of people make resolutions in January and they just jump on the bandwagon and they go all out. And then by middle of January, they've thrown the resolutions out of the way and they give up on themselves and they start creating those beliefs in themselves. Oh, well, I can't do it again. I tried last year, Then that feeds that seed of, oh, well, I'm not good enough. I can't do it. And everybody else. So we've got this thought loop and this thought track going round. And once you start breaking down those beliefs and so actually, no, we can break it down into baby steps and you start building, it does make a massive change in people's mindset and stuff like that. But I think it's fascinating that you work on breaking people's beliefs down. And that's a beautiful thing to do, not only as a PT, but as a human being. That's what I do when I'm working with my clients is we find out what their belief system is. We find out what their belief systems are and how those belief systems, which are easily broken once we start working them and changing those thought patterns, gets them moving in those different directions. So you are over at Cowdenbeath, local lad, as I said earlier. You are, another thing that we've always connected in is the amount of books that you read.
Yeah.
Now, before we go into the books part, I want to go back to squats because I think I am officially possibly the worst squatter ever. I don't see, so you're going to help me out now, Bowers.
Right.
I don't seem to be able to get my tuchus or my arse down past my knees. But I read up that the range of motion should be 90 degrees and back up. You don't have to get your arse all the way down. So you as a squat aficionado, talk me through the process of squats.
Right, so different, it can be different for everybody in terms of like the size, like how, like just the body in general. You know, it's like a one fits all approach to like helping somebody improve their squats. It's like, but generally speaking, it's like just making sure you've got a nice flat back, keeping the weights in the heel at the bottom, knees are pushed out slightly, high chest. When you're doing it, driving up through the heels, engaging the glutes, the quads, hamstrings, all the way up, and the core as well. But again, that process, it can take, just depend on everybody's ability. It might take a couple of sessions to nail. That's why I always try to adapt it and stick with the basics just to prevent any injuries from happening. For example, I've had clients in the past where first 4 sessions is just getting them to sit from a seat and up. That's it, just to get used to that feeling, like the hips, bum going back and down, getting used to that movement. And fair, once I see like, okay, right, the back's nice and flat, shoulders are back, chest is high, then probably we could increase it, could adapt it, make it a little bit challenging because our technique's better. And again, it's just about practice, repetition, trusting the process that'll get improved over time, which it will. And before you know it, it's like you could get barbell out, weights and stuff. It's, again, we all have to start somewhere though. And it's just, putting that practice and commitment into improving it.
Absolutely. Now, what's most important when you're working with people? What do you think is actually the most important for new clients or people getting into the fitness program? Is it mindset or fitness?
Again, it's different for everybody. I say, when clients come to me, I say because they want to get fit. Sometimes they'll come. I want to improve my confidence or resilience as well. I want to, like, I get frustrated when I exercise, or if I didn't quite achieve something, I get frustrated with myself. And again, it's just finding the root of that frustration, like what specifically you're frustrated about. So ask a couple of questions first. If it's fitness, again, explain to them, okay, like, if you're here to get fit, the byproduct of getting fit is you're going to look good as well, as long as like your nutrition and everything, that's on point, then it'd be good. But it's like taking things, keeping it simple as much as you can. If I give somebody, say, like I just done a case study with someone, I think it must have been 3-4 months, but I never threw everything at once. Okay, this is day one of the program. I want you to do an hour of training, make sure your nutrition and everything's all spot on, your mobility, your water intake, your protein, boom, hitting all of that. No, because they just like, they lose motivation by the end of the week. It's like breaking it down. It's like, okay, right, I'm just going to focus on getting 1 workout, 2 workouts in this week.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple. Okay, we're going to increase that, or focus on, right, get to the gym for 5-10 minutes. But what you'll find is when you get to the gym, it's like, okay, I'm here now, I'm just going to do 45 minutes,
Yeah.
And once they've got that habit of exercising, that's doing, like, okay, maybe a week, 2 weeks, okay, like, let's look at your nutrition. What could you do to improve that? And take a look at that. It's like, okay, like, eat 1 or 2 healthy meals a day. Don't worry if you have like a Snickers bar or what, it's fine. Like, as long as you're within your calories, like, don't stress about it. And it's having just like a common sense approach to these things, like keeping it simple. Like, doesn't it have to be absolutely perfect in nutrition? So you can still eat treats and stuff. Again, it's completely fine.
Yeah.
And another thing as well, we like the company, it's like, as you mentioned earlier, it's like the limiting beliefs. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. It's like, no, like, you can't do it yet.
Yeah.
But with enough practice, like, you'll get there, you'll manage it. And it's just like the little key words, and your language, it's like getting rid of it or adding in, like, I can't do it yet. Instead of saying, oh, I'll never be able to do that. It's like you're just reframing these thoughts in order to increase their awareness, like, bust the limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. I love that. It's fantastic. So we talk about, I mentioned it earlier, is the books that we read. And I know that you mentioned the creating the habit of just going to the gym. You don't actually have to get to the gym. And I know that comes from Atomic Habits, because I thought that was a phenomenal book by James Clear, The Atomic Habits. And it was such a clever way of motivation comes and go. I think everyone, I hold my hands up to that. But if your habits are in place, it doesn't matter about the motivation, right? What I've always found fascinating about habits is when I'm working with clients, believe it or not, I'm bringing their subconscious to their conscious so they can then make a conscious decision to change those habits. However, when you're creating habits, you've got to do them consciously until they become subconscious. And that's what I always liked about the Atomic Habits book with James Clear, was just go to the gym, don't train. But after a week of going to the gym, your little, especially the monkey mind, that conversation will start saying, well, your ear, you might as well do 5 minutes. So I love that about creating those better habits. So what habits do you have, Michael?
Habits. It's generally like, obviously, exercising and stuff. It's just something that I do. It's not something that I have to, like, it's just something that I just naturally just get on, like, a day. So I like other habits as well. It's just eating good. Like, again, it's like I didn't have an urge to go and eat or something like that. I had an urge to, like, eat crappy food. So it's like it's not like I can't do it. It's just a habit. Just, if I'm going to buy my lunch before I go to work, it's always been something healthy and nutritious. It's no that it's never been. The reason being is because the thoughts, like, if I eat this, if I have, like, a McDonald's for my lunch, then I'm not going to really feel energetic. It's like not going to be really good for my health.
I don't do McDonald's, but how anyone can eat a McDonald's and then feel good after it is beyond me. Because I think the last time I had a McDonald's was about 6 months ago, but it was only because we were really struggling to find food anywhere else. And I was like, all right, let's have a McDonald's then. And for like 2 hours after, I'm like, I feel horrible.
Aye, it's like, as I said, it's basically because I know how I'll feel if I choose the healthy option rather than the, like, the unhealthy option. That's a reason why I choose it. And I didn't really get, like, much cravings for, like, unhealthy foods now, unless I've been out drinking the night before and the Sunday. Then then you're craving. But other than that, like, nah, not really. But at the same time, though, say if I'm, like, in a restaurant and stuff, and I thought, like, chips and steak sounds quite good. Okay, I'll choose it. I didn't really think too much But the chats because I know 80 other percent of my nutrition is good. So it's like I feel like a wee or have a cake. I'm like, I wouldn't bother me, because I know I don't do it or eat 3-4 cakes a day, or every day. I didn't really beat myself up too much about having treats and stuff there and there, because I know generally it's like 80% of my nutrition is good, and that other 20% it's like, well, I could eat what I want.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's brilliant. So, you're a big books reader. I know that we at one point we were going through books, and I'm reading books, and I'm like, oh, do you know what I've seen on Bowers? He's got another 6 books, so like I can't keep up with Bowers. He's reading, and I always love the fact that you were just getting more and more books, because I've been a massive believer in reading books. So, top 3 game changers when it comes to books, Michael. What are the game changers for you? What were the books that were like, that's what I need to read?
The top 3, well, that's a tough one. First one that comes into my mind is that 4 Agreements. Like in terms of like,
I got that from you. You told me about that, and I went and downloaded it, an audiobook. Beautiful book.
It's like in terms of like, because of the principles in it, like the first time I read that, I think I was working on cruise ships at the time, and I noticed like I just like, wow, like this is so true. Like, stay away from gossip. Like, don't chronically whine and complain. Be impeccable with your word. And it's just habits, are just like things that implement the principles in that book. It's like, right, actually, start applying. It's like I started being aware every time I started hearing gossip and stuff. I'm like, nah, like, I'm not even going to go there, and that was all started for that book. A great principle I noticed is like, be wary people like gossiping about someone to you who you do not know, because the reason being you're automatically going to have an impression, a perception about this person. It's not really fair in that person, because you've never met him. You could have gotten, or you could get great with that person. It's just from that person's perspective, who they're talking to you about. It's just theirs. That's it. And that's sort of like, wow, that's actually so true. And that again, it's a great book for increasing that awareness. And I believe, like the principles, the 4 Agreements as well. And I've said this before, like the principles should be like taught in schools in terms of like showing compassion to everybody and being empathetic, and again being impeccable with your word, watching the words that come out your mouth, the negativity, the stating your own limiting beliefs and stuff. Another good book as well, the same author, is that The Mastery of Self. Again, another one, like probably say top 5 books I've read. And
he's turning it into a top 5. He can't go top 3. He's going top 5.
It's tough. Like, see, try to pinpoint it's the best 3 books that you've read. Like, Ego is enemy as well. And another
that's
great
Ryan
book.
Holiday, right?
Aye.
Ryan Holiday. That's a phenomenal book. I always remember. I know it was a good one, because I was getting into Ego because of the struggles that I had. But it's over 10 years ago now. But it was Ego that was playing a big part in my life, and I really, really am totally aware. But it was How to Detox Your Ego, and I forgot the name of the author. But you remember the old rubbish signs? Drop your litter. There was always that little what's the logo for litter signs, which was that little man dropping.
All right, aye. Yeah.
That's on the front page, and it was How to Detox Your Ego. And I was like, because that was the journey I was on after Monkey Mind, the Monkey Paradox, the Chimp Paradox, sorry. And I was like, I'll read that one, Ego. And that was mind blowing. I love putting a book on and going for a walk in Monroe. How to Detox Your Ego. It'll be close to the Ryan Holiday one with the ego is the enemy. But yeah, no, I get very much aware of that. So that's cool. What other books?
Let's see. So mentioned 4 Agreements, The Mastery of Self, Ego's the Enemy. I've read how could I forget that? Search for Man's Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Like that one, that's brilliant in terms of surviving the Holocaust.
I'm going to write that one down. I've not looked. Right, yes.
And he makes an absolute valid point, which I always remember, is like finding meaning in the pain that you're going for, finding a purpose, and the pain that he was going through. And what he says is like, I'm going to fight. I'm going to make sure I come out of here and tell the world about this so that nothing like this happens again. They also made a pact with someone in one of the camps at the time. And he says, look, let's make a pact. Like, every single day we're in here, we have to make each other laugh or smile, tell a joke, or find something that we can be grateful for. Like a simple thing in the book was like seeing like the blue sky coming up. You know, it's like something like that. It's like they're keeping their spirits up high. And whereas people around the boot were just giving up on the basics of life, like just completely just giving up on everything, you know, skin and bone, no purpose to live, but it's like kept each other going, you know. And he said he got out, he ended up being a psychiatrist, and he went on to write, obviously the book, Man's Search for Man's Meaning, but I highly recommend anybody to read that in terms of like the perspective that'll give you.
Good stuff. Love changing people's perspectives. It's a phenomenal thing to do.
Yeah, like
why is it, Bowers? Because we use NLP. I know we both use NLP on ourselves and others, but how is it people lose or are not aware of what we can focus on? How is it that people are just not aware of it? How you can genuinely train your focus, even when, because somebody asked me the other day, what is a positive mindset? So a positive mindset is that it's an expectation of that tomorrow could be a horrible day, but I've got the tools to get through it. A positive mindset is not unicorn farts. It's not roses every day and it's rainbows. It's the opposite. It's like having the lowest expectations of the day, but getting through it with glee, like it sounds by Victor. How is it some people just are not aware of what they're focusing on, and it sends them down those passages, those dark passages?
Aye, that's a good question. So I guess it comes down to like your own beliefs that you have about the world, like what's your, like the map of the world that you have, your own beliefs, your thought processes. The way it's like if you constantly, like, say for example, I think if you grow up with the same pattern, say like a traumatic event's happened when you were younger and you grew up with that's a pattern emerging, that you're constantly in a negative cycle, it's hard to get out, then again that might change something inside you in terms of like you might go out feeling better or something, and that's you go to that pattern, that cycle keeps coming. So I guess for that perspective, it's like, well, it's really hard to be aware of anything positive if you're constantly, this is just overclouding you, you know. Whereas another side, if you can, again, as I said, like doing courses, like, and if we've been aware of these patterns that you're doing, like you're aware of this cycle that you're replaying. And once you become aware of it, and it's like, okay, we start to change this here, you know. And that's why like getting like yourself, like a coach, is going to help you break that down, like help get to the root, cure that root, like get what you learn how to heal that root, and then from there, like building empowering beliefs and replacing the limiting ones. And for there, I can imagine you've been a better state of mind by doing it, just being aware of the thought patterns, your beliefs that you have, and replacing them with empowering ones. But what I've noticed is if somebody has a limiting belief and they're chucking at you, I've noticed, like, see if you give like one counteractive belief back, like you're using like a sleight of mouth pattern, it's not as effective. But see if you use like 3, bam, bam, boom, straight to the back of each other, 3 reasons why that limiting belief is strong. It's like they're not giving their mind a chance to think. It's like, oh, actually, wait a minute. Like if you give them 1, then it's like they've got time to come back with why their belief is true. But if you come back with like 3 right at the back of each other, it's like you've got a good chance of just busting that limiting belief and make them, okay, right, see, it's like another perspective.
Yeah. I love that. Love that. One more book.
By the way, there's that minute, I'm just trying to think what one. It's so difficult. Like I've read, let's see. The one I'm reading now, High Performance by Jake Humphrey and the guy Liquid Thinker guy. Like that one, that's really good. Like I just no long started it, but it's good in terms of like high performance, what habits do the best athletes, business folk in the world have, which enables them to be at their best? And what I've read so far, taking responsibility for like what's happening in your life, like not try to blame others, like how you respond, taking responsibility how you respond to external events is a big one. Motivation, are you internally or externally motivated? That's like the chapter I just finished. And what it's saying in that chapter is if you are externally motivated, you want the money, the fame, then you're going to be motivated for a little bit. However, once you're that used to the reward, like loads of money, then your performance will dwindle. You're not going to quite have that same motivation. Whereas if that motivation comes from within, like you're doing it because you really enjoy doing it and you enjoy the process, you're always going to be staying more motivated because you enjoy that journey. You like the external rewards, like the money, the fame. It doesn't bother you. It's like this is just a bonus. I'll do this for free.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
And that's like the chapter I just finished the other now.
Brilliant.
But like I say, I could talk about books all day, to be fair. There's like 3 or 4 that's coming to my mind now. That's for sure.
Brilliant. But I know you always talked highly of The Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. So for anyone listening, check out that book. It's a phenomenal book. So we always talk, especially with the monkey mind and the chatter about the chatter, is about those internal conversations we have. Now, I know mine was self-debilitating. They were horrible. And I still say this now. I wouldn't have talked to my friends as harshly as I would have talked as harshly as I talked to myself. So it's a strange thing that people think they can talk to themselves quietly in here and be absolutely vicious with themselves. You touched on it earlier. You know, you've got to be kind to yourself. You are allowed a treat. You are allowed this. But those conversations that we have, that's the chatter about the chatter. So how do you, with the mindset, because mindset's a big part of it, how do you help your clients with the chatter about the chatter that they have?
It's basically first, like as I said earlier, reframing that chatter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like identifying what they are saying at first. And being aware, like, you know, like again, like the pattern, that cycle that's going through your head, you know, and just like changing that up. Like generally, it's more. What I tend to do is like find out like where's this coming from, like what's the root, you know. And you take them through like a timeline and say like, okay, let's find out where the first time this happened. And for there, it's like, okay, right, identify, right, and just do the work on it there. And like, what would you like to feel instead? What resources do you need? Like, what could you learn from this situation? And once you've done that, find out what the learnings, like try to get like maybe 3 to 5 learnings, maybe resources as well, and get them at like a deep relaxed state before actually going into that. And for there, and sometimes like you've had people like break down in tears of joy at the end because of like the breakthroughs and that they've had. And for they come out like they end up like a different person, you know, with these new profound insights. And it's the insights that gets that, it's that light bulb going off, that shift, you know. And if it's like, wow, the leaves is feeling like buzzing, like happy and everything, you know. And it's from that, then you see like the shift in that mindset is what they need in terms of to go in and live a life that they want.
Yeah, brilliant, fantastic. So, faith plays a big part. Now, when we were walking up the morning, I didn't know this. I absolutely didn't know this. It was only recently when I saw on your posts and things like that. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Good on you. So, how does faith play a part in your life, Mike? Faith and religion.
Aye, so Christian faith, like I would never call myself religious. I believe like my belief in religion is like rules and man-made, and it's like it's all restrictions. Like no, like my Christian faith comes from my belief in Christ and knowing that He came into the world not to set a religion, but He came into the world to set everybody free. And for that, I just feel free with that belief in Christ, knowing that He's got my back all the time. And so if anything goes right, like say like shit hits the fan, but straight away, because of my faith, it's like, no, everything's going to be all right. Everything will be good. So everything's going to work out how it's meant to work out. And guess what? Majority of situations that I've been in where I think shit's the fan, loads of good things have come from it. you know. So it's like, no, it's realised like a lot of good things have came from these situations, and it's like always like I'm trusting God here, I'm trusting Him, His guidance. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I'm not going to lose any sweat. Like whatever happens will happen. Everything's going to work out. And again, that comes from Christ. And again, reading books, going to church, like been going to like Hillsong Church in Edinburgh, which has been absolutely brilliant. Like the people there and stuff are so welcoming, like friendly. Like you can see like how the joy that they've all got, you know. And you come away from a service and you're just absolutely buzzing for like the rest of the day, you know. And listening to the pastor speaking, like, he's speaking a lot of sense. Like I completely understand this. And honestly, you go away just completely feel just buzzing for the whole day. And I believe that's a big part of how it's like it's giving a lot of security and just a belief that look, everything will work out. According to God's plan, everything will work out according to Him. And through that, and a couple of, I watched a movie last month called The Case for Christ on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And again, like, wow, just completely blew my mind. Like, it's about a true story about a journalist who is an atheist, and his wife, got a long story short, his wife started going to church after an accident that happened to her daughter. But his husband was like, "What are you doing? This is stupid." Right? So the journalist is like, "You know what? I'm going to go and prove you wrong. That Christ, this is all man-made. This is all made up and stuff." And so the more he researched, the more he studied it, they realised, actually, wait a minute, I can't. You know, this is actually true. With all the sources and the amount of evidence that's here, it's like I can't. So, cut a long story short, he went from being an atheist to believing in Christ. Another good movie as well I watched was the Shack, again on Netflix, and another really good movie, and again completely like help like understand them. Again, two top movies. The Shack. It's on Netflix. Aye, SHACK. There's a book on it as well. I've not read the book yet. The book's going to be really good. But I say like the two movies completely like blew my mind. Plus going to like Hillsong and stuff. And surrounding myself with people who are positive and similar faith, it's a big key there. It's like keeping people who are positive around you, who are joyful, who keep your spirits up.
Yeah.
And it's just going to rub off on you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing so much, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for being on the podcast. That's absolutely brilliant. So Michael Bowers Transformations, you can check Michael out on his Instagram. What's your Instagram?
It's Bowers24.
And that's my MB Transformations is the name of the company.
Aye. My business page is MB Transformations. You'll find that on Facebook.
And to work with you, you can do it online, or does it have to be face-to-face, or can they get plans from you online?
It could be both, face-to-face, online. It's like quite flexible options here in terms of it. But one thing is mentioned earlier, it just depends on the person's goals. So if you're looking to get your comfort zone, build your fitness up, so again, completely hit me up.
And how do you find getting out of your comfort zone really does make those changes in people's lives? Because that comfort zone is never really a comfort zone, is it? It's a made up world that we've created that keeps us safe.
No, totally. As I mentioned earlier, the majority of opportunities come from when you are out, when you put yourself in situations where you think, this is scary. Like, this is really scary. But the growth, like the confidence that you get from even spending 10 seconds outside your comfort zone, is just adding on it. Like, remember, first time I started Toastmasters, man, I see before it, I was a completely nervous wreck. I'm like, oh no, how am I going to one day I thought, no, what, I'm going to go. I'm going today if they're putting it off. It's like, I'm going. So I turned up, and I remember, she says, you want to take part in the table topics? Like, what's that? It's like, you just got to speak for 1 minute, 2 minutes on a question. Like, we'll throw that question at you as you go to speak. Like, my hair's going, oh no. But I was like, my head's going like, yes, do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I'm looking in there. I went out of like hair, popping out my chest. I was up there, asked me the question. I was up there for maybe 30 seconds and I went and sat back down. I was like, I'm hating this. And at the end, like they come around and give you feedback and stuff on how you did, how you can improve. And I remember it's like, Michael, you're a natural at this. You ooze self-confidence, you ooze belief. I'm like, you joking me? I was crapping at my life the majority of the time up there. I was like, what? Then again, just got that buzz for it after that. You know, I'm going to keep going and going and going. And before I knew it, all these opportunities arose, like the networking that the people that you meet there as well is really big. And again, other opportunities that came way through. Then that, and that's why, like, the purpose of me saying that is getting out of your comfort zone, doing things that's scary. You never know what's on the other side. You never know what opportunities will arise. Or that thing that you're scared to do could be a catalyst for like one of your main skills developing, which is going to help other people, you know. But say having to take that action and knowing that you win by even trying. It doesn't matter how nervous you are, you succeed by even attempting it or trying.
Yeah.
That's what I try to like get through to people as well. I was like,
Brilliant.
just like,
it's brilliant. It is. Honestly, Michael, thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much to being on Chatter About the Chatter. As always, ladies and gentlemen, you are always more than welcome to get in contact. Cuddy Cudworth at monkeymindrelaxation.com. And we can work on working with a mind management coach gets you moving forward. We work on your emotional and mental health. We work on stress management. There is so many things we do to get people moving forward and living the life that they deserve and they choose. And that genuinely is by getting out of the comfort zone. It takes courage to get in contact, but you can't have fear without courage. They come in hand. Once you choose courage over the fear, you'll start seeing those changes in your life. You genuinely will. Michael, or AKA Bowers, thank you very much for being part of the podcast, Chatter About the Chatter. And I can't wait to meet up with you soon. Thank you very much, everybody. And I will see you on the next podcast coming up very, very shortly.